Can you guys hear me okay?
I'm back.
I am too.
You can't see me?
I can see you.
Okay.
I can see and hear you. I just see the city of Kenyon black
Y- Yep,
screen.
just a standard silhouette. Just got a message. Yeah, they text me, said they sent us a new link, and I told them we'd rejoin, but it's just us again.
Mhm. I mean, they're there, but I don't know if they can hear us.
They're probably just watching us.
And listening.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Can you hear us now?
We can hear you, yes.
Oh.
Can you hear us?
I can. It's through my computer. So Mary's talking. Can you hear her?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Yeah,
you.
it's faint, but yes.
Great. So it's basically using my mic in my,
Are you? Should we holler on theirs?
Everybody get cozy.
Wayne, you're the one over here talking.
here, let me turn on.
Yeah, Wayne can just go there.
Yeah, for now, and then another person can take a spot.
Okay, good.
We can do video here.
Sorry, everybody, for very good work trying to make something happen.
Yeah, thanks, Derek.
All right. Is that a try? Maybe better to have her on the screen. So if she's going to share numbers or it's just sharing cameras right now. So, okay.
Yeah.
You can see you.
Okay, so the question I had was for the fire department, the total budget. The city pays 51% and our surrounding townships, because our fire district goes outside of city limits. So we have like 7 townships that participate. And they're responsible for 49% of the total budget. Is
Okay.
that factored in on your guys' budget?
I'm assuming it is on the revenue page. I'm assuming it's line item 34200, the $93,785. I'm assuming it's that line item. It's page 3 of the revenue, Scott.
Jesse, if you could still share your screen and we can see it up on the big screen if you want to.
Okay, let me,
I see it. Yeah,
okay, let me. Sharing is not turned on. Can you allow me to share?
Fire department.
Try it again.
There we go. Okay.
Fire department contract.
So I'm assuming it is this line item right there. I have not seen the fire contracts, so if you and Scott want to work together to see how much revenue those are going to bring in, we can certainly change that number. And I did do a balanced budget for the fire department as well. So that's where the 104,000 came in, because I balanced that out. But if you want to look, we can start looking at the revenues
Okay.
and making
well,
sure
we'll have
that
to-
those are correct.
You'll have to double check that side because that would be
Yep,
a pretty significant chunk of change.
yep, yep. So
Okay.
I'm assuming that that's where they're coming in at, is at 34200 township contracts.
Yeah, that was just township.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got 93,000 budgeted.
So,
Yep.
so do we just want to keep rolling? If we're on fire right now, we just want to keep rolling
Yeah,
with that. So if you want to go to the fire expenditure. So for, the 309 computer support, we put 1,500 into the budget. I think we could shrink that down to 500 because last year we had 838. And that was a new system. We put the new computers in. That was
Okay.
our initial setup,
I'm-
firewall and whatnot. So I
I'm
don't
gonna
think-
move this over here and I'm gonna put changes over on this screen, so I remember to do. Okay, so you're thinking what line item? 101 or 203?
203, 309.
309. So you want me to drop that?
I think we could drop it
to-
500 and be plenty.
Drop it to 500?
Yes. From the
Okay,
1,500, that would save us 1,000 right there.
yep,
Shouldn't be. It's, I mean, that 838 was setting up 2 new computers, a firewall and a printer. So I think 500 was, I think is still conservative. If we go
Then
down,
you guys are gonna take a look at the revenues, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll just, that 93 is what Wayne comes up with, because Wayne showed me some numbers today that he kind of knows what the townships usually contribute, so. we'll
Yep,
just add-
okay, that's perfect.
so if we go down to 342, the training fees, we have 10,000 in the budget. A lot of this money is state reimbursed through the Minnesota Training Board.
So
I think could
do we
drop it.
have that money coming in?
Yes,
That's
we
the
do.
other thing. We do have
We
that
ver-
coming in?
Yep, we verified that today.
Okay, perfect. So
I'm gonna drop,
203,
so if we drop that 10,000 to 7,000, there's
okay, and
another,
what line item was that? The training, the 342?
242, yeah.
yeah,
Okay, so drop that to 7.
yes.
Okay,
This is just kind of a question for council. There's no change here. And this is kind of what Scott and I were talking about earlier is unused money going back into the fund. We built this plan together with the townships, stating that, you know, we had our turnout gear last 10 years. So to keep it steady Eddie, we got to buy 3 sets every year. We are finally caught up on turnout gear. We have 2 new members this year. But they won't complete training, so we won't buy their gear this year. So we have money in the budget for this year. That money needs to get rolled into next year.
He's looking at line item 414 and 418.
Okay.
8,016.
and to throw another wrench into things, I haven't looked at your capital asset policy, but last year Gatsby put into effect that a grouped asset capital policy. So anything that is purchased with a group, such as turnout gear, if it's over the capital asset policy or threshold, it needs to be capitalized. So Scott, put on your radar, that's another thing we need to look at the capital asset policy.
So what can you drop that down to, Wayne?
It needs to stay the same.
He doesn't, yeah, he doesn't.
You don't,
He just wanted to put it on your radar, that that's what they've been putting aside
okay,
and budgeting for, so when turnout gear or SCBA's or uniform, all that stuff is needed, that they have funds to be able to drop.
We just had that big hit
Or else
last
you
year
have to
for like
go
125 for the SCBA stuff.
okay.
So this way here, it's steady Eddie across the board from now on.
Being basically.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
When the guys were talking about dropping the transfer to capital fund, last year we combined the fire fund and the first responder funds together. We kind of trimmed some of the excess fat out of it. And then we paid off the first responder truck. But we decided, and the townships also decided to keep that money coming in. So that's why that transfer to capital fund is set to 90,000. Because that was part of the plan to build our truck fund. Because our new tender that we ordered should arrive this January. And the plan was in place to have that money going in there to fund that truck purchase. So we write the check when the truck shows up. And then to keep that money coming in towards the next purchase, because I don't have my other sheet in front of me here, but the plan was in place to start working on the next engine, because that engine will be like 37 years old by the time we get money saved up to purchase the next one. And the plan was to buy them outright.
So your recommendation, Wayne, is to keep $90,000 in that.
Yeah, my recommendation would be to keep that 90,000, because half of it is township money, or 49% of it's township money, and 49 or 51% is city money. So it's a little, I mean, it's a big number, but it's spread over more than just town. So that's what I had on the fire side. So there's,
Okay.
what we're talking there is, that's a $4,000 savings so far on my stuff, strictly on fire. Yeah. So you want to jump into the next one, or how do you want to do this?
Is this working for you, Jesse, or is this kind of all over the board? Would you rather go through the the budget section by section, or do you want Wayne just to hit all his and then we'll go back, or what?
We can hit section by section, or the other thing is, Scott, we can get direction from the council where they want it. And then we can meet with the department heads off to the side as well, if that's the way you want to go, or we can go, each department head can speak, however you want to do it.
My street department one's gonna have the biggest savings for you.
So council, do you guys want to be part of this line by line so you can see exactly and make determinations as we go? Or do you want to go as Jesse was saying, because that was our second option, is you tell us where the levy, where you'd like to see the levy, and we'll do everything we can with the department heads to make those changes, but then you're not really part of the conversation on what's being reduced or not being reduced.
Here's, this is how we've done it. We've gone
Line by
department
line.
heads with the
Okay.
council.
Yep, that's totally fine. I just didn't know how much council wanted to be involved.
So if we could jump to streets, the 101,
Okay,
the first
Expenses, right?
the expenses or revenues?
expenses.
Okay,
So that first one, cut that part-time, that 48,000. I don't know where that come from. I respect the thought that you guys offered that. I got a good team and we can handle it.
So
Okay.
this is the two part-time positions we talked about, and I know some of you on the council have talked to me about having that. I appreciate Wayne's input, but the council also weighs in if that's something that they're okay with spending. Or do you want to go down the one, or do you want to have nobody and just continue to operate the way you've done?
Let's go down to not have one right now.
Yeah, like, I mean, if in the future we could do when this gets,
I just want to see where we could have a discussion, but for tonight, let's look at next.
Yep. So let's take that 48,000 out then, Jesse.
okay,
100, the 100 number one.
So
I
if
got
we,
it.
oh, go ahead.
I got it written down on the side here. I'm keeping notes over on this because then I can make changes and then get back to you guys with all the numbers.
So if we bump down to 224 street maintenance,
Okay.
it's currently at 80,000. I think it's at 80,000 because we were planning like 45,000 a year in street maintenance. And then we didn't use that much money in 24. We used the savings of that because we had a big project this year and we chip sealed. We had like a 7-year street maintenance plan. Over the course of the years, getting great pricing and whatnot, we're ahead of schedule. So what I'd like to do is we have to start over on our street maintenance plan. So we have to reclassify all of our streets conditions. So I would think that we could drop that from 80,000 to 40,000.
Okay.
But what I'd like to do is buy mastic, a semi-load of mastic, and then rent the machine for a week. And then what we don't get used in that week's rental time, the mastic will hold till the year following. And then we just rent the machine again in the following year.
So number did you say to 40, 80 to 40?
80 to 40. So right there is 48,000 or 88,000.
88,000.
The other thing I seen was the 303 engineering. For some reason, we got $450 that showed up. That Derek built.
300.
We have 1,000 in the budget. I don't know if we want to just
303.
Where is that?
303.
303 engineering.
Oh, right here. Do you want me to get rid of that or do you want?
This is a question for the group here. For some reason, $450 showed up as an expenditure this year. So to make things right, we put $1,000 in there. Do we want to move that 1,000 or that money to general engineering and remove it from streets, or?
So we've never budgeted for it at all for the last 3 years on it. My recommendation would be that we zero that $1,000.
So,
And we'll
Okay.
find a different to pay those engineering funds if we need.
yeah, I got a coupon.
And we plan on being on site a couple days and we were gonna review the AP, so some of these numbers may change for coding. So we can definitely look at that $450 to see what it was.
Okay,
So this is a perfect opportunity to stand by for 1 second. So council members, I just want you to be aware, I wrote a note to myself to say it, but it fits right now. So Abdo, Jesse and her team are gonna be on site here in the office on September 11th and September 15th. Bringing her team with her, and we're gonna be going through things line by line by line. For example, what he just brought up to make sure that, so just so you all are aware, they will be here. And we'll be rolling up our sleeves and going through not just levy and budgets, but a whole gamut of things, to try to get things right-sided here a little bit. So just wanted you guys to be aware of that. Sorry for interrupting, Scott. Thank you.
The next cut I had was 383 natural gas. We bumped it to 5,200. I think, at our current rate, 4,500 was sufficient.
Okay,
With that,
that's,
with that little bit of savings there, I would like to increase the GIS operation to 505 from 2,000 to 2,500. So that would cover the street rating redo.
increase to what?
So they go through, on the street ratings, they go through and classify roads from 1 to 10. 1 is horrible, 10 is brand new. So then that gives us direction on, usually we've been addressing 7s or better.
How we decide which streets need to be chip sealed or crack filled, which ones need to be reconstructed, and which ones. So it's been like 5 years since we've done that. It's time to restart.
And what line is that?
505.
Mhm.
And what do you want to increase to?
2,500.
2,500? Okay.
The only other question I had would be on capital outlay. It's slated for 55,000. What that would been, last year I asked the council to replace our current 1-ton tipper truck with the snow plow and our sander on it. It was approved last year, but the numbers didn't get correctly put into the budget. I missed it.
What line item is that? I don't see it on my screen.
It's a 501 here.
501.
Oh,
You guys can see,
oh,
you can see my screen, right?
I'm the only guy sitting in front of the computer.
Oh, you're the only one that can see my screen.
Well, they can see it on the
No,
big
no,
screen,
no,
but it's.
Okay,
I was following along on my computer and I was going
that
down.
better?
Gotcha. Yeah, that is
Okay.
better.
Okay. So here's the other thing is I have 55,000 in capital here, and then I have $45,000 capital here.
Yeah, like
So
that
you got about-
45 is that transfer stuff.
Yep.
So the 55, see, this is where our mistake was last year. Is we had 55 in the budget, and that was supposed to cover the cost of the truck and the replacement, the Boss V plow on the front, and renew the skid loader. It wasn't enough to cover it. So the 30,000 was the skid loader replacement. So there's gonna be a $25,000 surplus from this current year. I'd like to take that surplus, reapply it to that 55 new, and this is where we were talking and how
This is
it
the
works.
example I shared with you, Jesse, where he wanted to take funds from 1 year and put it into the next year to be able to take care of
Okay.
a purchase.
So for this 30,000, that was to replace a skid loader?
That's what it was, yep. So,
Okay, I'm gonna
the-
tell you, we're gonna move it to capital, to move it to the capital fund. We'll end up moving it to the 202 fund for capital. Cause we can't have, well, they don't like seeing capital purchases in the general fund. We'll move it to the capital fund.
okay. So with that, we'd like to replace that truck and it's just shooting from the hip here, it's about 100. Then we receive the money from trade-in of our current vehicle to put back into the coffers.
Yeah. Now, roughly.
No, we got like 25.
Look at the budget. 45.
50.
55.
55 is on the budget for 2026. So.
Yeah, 25 and 55, would be close.
Yeah, that gets us 90. Then the trade-in should send us home. Because the estimated trade-in this year was, when I looked into it like in April, it was like 30,000. And that would take the truck from a 1-ton to like an F550, because we overload that thing all the time.
So Jesse, the biggest thing on this line item is he wants to not lose that $25,000 because he doesn't plan on spending any more money the remainder of the year. So that should leave him that 25. How do we earmark that so it can actually be put towards next year's budget of 55 to get them enough funds to be able to try to buy that truck?
Scott, what we're gonna have to do is look at that capital equipment worksheet that we sent over, and we're gonna have to determine what the fund balances are for each department. So, I think the next step we should do is look at the fund balance in the 202 fund and see, compare it to that spreadsheet to see where all these monies are sitting. Because there may be a surplus in the 202 fund that's just been adding up and adding up. So then maybe we can not add so much to capital this year, or maybe we're way underfunded where we need to add some more. So I think that's one of the projects that we need to get working on, is looking at the CIP information. But what I would personally like to see done is this 501, move that down to the transfer of capital. So add the 55 and 45,000 and move it all to capital. Because this 30,000 will get moved to capital once we start doing analytics and start moving stuff. So everything's paid out of the 202 fund, so everything is clean. All capitals in the 202 fund.
And that's what I was
So-
gonna answer. I talked about is this isn't the only place you're gonna see capital outlay, capital transfer to capital fund. There's other budgets that have that too. And when Jesse's saying this, we're talking about taking all that capital stuff and putting it in one house so we can see it. Correct, Jesse?
Yep, yep. So council can leave it as is, doing the transfers every year back and forth, or we can utilize the 202 fund. And so what would happen? So I would decrease this line item by the capital amount, not the fire fund, but the general fund. And then I'd add a capital line in here that would say the 202 fund. So then every year for 2025, obviously it'd be zero, but then we'd have an amount this year. So then every year we designate, okay, $100,000 is going to the capital improvement fund. $50,000 is for streets, 20's for the pool, and yet however it's allocated. Or we can leave it as transfers. However you guys want to do it is fine by me. But when Scott and I were digging through this, it was interesting trying to keep track of where everything was moving.
I say we can move it all to the one, but I just want to make sure I'm clear here. So for easy old guy math, it's $100,000. Right?
Okay.
Wayne has earmarked 50. Jeff has earmarked 30. Okay. Wayne's purchase is actually not 50, it's 60 or 70. How do we get that to him in that short period? Or is it just how that goes? Does that make sense?
Yep. So how you guys have it set up is I can come down to the 202 fund here. So how this is set up is here. So we have like a public safety capital outlay. We have a streets, we have a cultures and rec, so that would be parks and the swimming pool. What we would do is I would budget it here in these line items versus doing the transfers.
Everybody knows what they have, correct? So they.
Everybody will know what they have. And then at the end of the year, we can look at the fund balance and see the street department has this much left. Either next year they could levy more, or we can carry that balance and we can balance it off of the fund balance for each of the departments.
And by this year, might have to wait till next year.
Okay. That's one thing I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't for a department that knows what they have.
Yep,
And
so it would be budgeted right here. So say the public safety, we have 50,000. Instead of this interfund and capital, I would add a line that says property taxes, and that amount would go right there.
Thank you.
So it's up to you guys if we want me to, or Scott and I to set it up that way and eliminate all the transfers and just put that amount directly into those funds. So
Mr. Mayor, what do you think?
And that would make it easier to follow, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then every year when you guys approve Scott's recommending $150,000 going to capital, and you're like, no, let's make a cut there, let's do 100. Okay, so you guys are deciding what's going in there, and then we're divvying it out as we need to.
Yeah.
So you guys are still line of sight and still making a decision on what goes into it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay, so I'll add to my notes. Oops.
This transfer to capital has been confusing since I started working here.
You know what you have. Yeah.
I will tell you, when I looked at it, it confused me. I had to put it down on a spreadsheet to figure out what was going on. Because at one point I didn't even know if the transfers in equaled the transfers out. So I had to do my math here and to put it down on a spreadsheet. So I will take out all the capital transfers and add them to the 202 fund and then do a capital levy.
Thank you.
It'll make our
Okay.
budget.
So
It'll be a lot cleaner. So then, to your point, do you want the full 95,000? Or the
Well, see, we-
100,000 here?
they've always used the transfers to capitals as kind of like a built-in savings account, to my understanding, over the years. That money's, that value stayed the same for, the last 10 years I've been here.
Yep. And so what also the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at the fund balance of the 202 fund and see what you guys actually have for each capital, for each department, to see what's going on in there. Because if every year you're transferring it, and I haven't looked at the 202 fund yet to see what's in there, but maybe there's excess funds in there and there's extra money in there. I'm not quite sure yet.
I think there's
So that is,
it doesn't have a ton of money, so yeah, don't expect to have a big.
okay. Yep, I haven't looked at it yet, but do you want the 55 and the 45, the $100,000 to go into the capital?
I think if we're gonna do the 202 fund, the capital outlay and the capital transfers all should be in that 202 fund. It's my.
Yeah, leave them ride the way they are for now.
Okay,
Then you're tracking it all underneath one 202 fund. And police will have theirs and street will have theirs and, and along down the line. Fire does not, because they were taken, but we can look at.
Yeah.
So the other thing I just want to make a point at this point with this capital outlay and everything we're talking about with capital. So what some of the things that Jesse and I have been able to uncover, and with Sue's help, is it looks like there's money in these individual budgets, right? But when some capital in the past was being spent, it was being spent out to the city's funds. And the beauty of putting all this into a 202 fund, if you can look and see what's in it, and if the funds aren't there, they're not there, and then we have to come up with a plan on how we're gonna make that work. Like maybe it needs to be kicked here to get some other infusion. We don't want to get into the habit of, we're short here, and I really want to, and I'm only using you for example, I'm not saying you do this, but I really want to buy this 1-ton truck for $100,000, but I only got 80. That's no problem. We'll take $20,000 out of the fund balance and then we'll just make it whole, right? That, and it's still yet to be determined that, but my gut's telling me that's why we saw our fund balance go from 40% down to 18%, is because funds were coming out of there that maybe, just maybe, we should have been grabbing funds from a different location. Okay. And that'll help clean that up too. So by doing some of this stuff, it has multi facets to it that are all beneficial to all of us.
So
and then
go ahead.
one last thing I'll point out is last year when I was doing the budget, let me get to here. So the revenues last year did not equal the expenses. So you guys had over expenses of $77,796. So that was also a direct hit to the fund balance. Because the balance, or the budget wasn't balanced for 2025.
So Jesse, you're saying you overspent 77,000?
Well, I didn't, not overspend, but if you look here, your revenues for 20, or your budgeted revenues were 1.8, your total expenses were 1.9. So when the budget was done last year, expenses exceeded revenues by $77,769. I can make this a little bigger too.
You'd be a nice Councilmember Schultz, you hit it. That's
So last year, a balanced budget was not presented.
well,
So this year, if you look at this year's, I'm changing this number every time. So revenues equal expenses. And that's how a budget should be done, is balanced budget, revenues equal expenses. So I just wanted to point that out too. So that may be a direct hit to fund balance as well, depending on how 2025 pans out here.
No, it's not.
and what we're trying to get to here, so you understand, is that if we'll have a capital, we'll have a 202 budget, right? So we'll put capital. If the department heads are managing their budget and they're doing a good job of it, and they come in, let's say, under budget, pick a number, doesn't really matter what the number is. What I have seen in the preliminary looks at is then some of that money will get moved somewhere or get used for something, or well, what should be happening is that if there's excess funds, taxpayer levied funds that fill the budget and not all the dollars get used in that budget, that should roll at the end of the year back into the fund balance. I've seen where it's rolling in other places other than that. That's going to help continue to build that fund balance and get us moving back towards that 40%. And in talking some of the department heads, that might feel a little different than what has been done in the past. But that's really what we need to get to. Budget for the capital, budget for the expenses, offset it by the revenues. And if there's money at the end of the year that doesn't get used for whatever reason, that needs to roll into the fund balance that all of us can see and use if we need to, or to build it back up for a rainy day.
The last thing I had was in the swimming pool expenditures. Down on the 501 capital outlay again, it's earmarked 7,000. I think we could drop that to 1,000. And we'd like to replace the mats in the locker rooms and use that money for chairs also. But that's another $6,000 savings.
That's not Jesse?
Yep, I got that too.
All right.
So everything out of my side is, I think it adds up to about 95,000 savings.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
You govern that.
Who wants to go next? Milty, you look like you're ready to come in here and lay into us for a little bit. I don't think so. Do you want to cut out? Randy, do you have some stuff you want to talk about too? Or questions, or are you just soaking us all in?
I was here for one question, so in the thing, when you're setting buses, you're not, what Wayne brought up earlier, you're not going to figure on your budget of putting money back in. So, because Wayne, like Wayne said earlier, usually you would budget so much with the intention that you're gonna get back to the general fund. Did you say that earlier, Wayne, or remember your budget's always to put back in?
No, you're talking about that transfer to capital. That was to help build that fund balance and maintain it. I think, like in the street department, or water department, the sewer department, they give a bunch of money out of that to help offset the cost for the homeowner.
When you're saying fund balance, are you talking about administrator, or are you talking about the 202 capital?
That part I'm not sure of.
Okay.
We need to have that.
And some people like to use fund balance, and what I'm finding out is when you say fund balance, you're really referring to the 202 capital fund, right? And they're two different animals. Yeah. Okay.
So then the other understanding I had is, like, say I got 50,000 in the street transfer fund, or dedicated to be transferred. If I had 50,000 in there that was budgeted, if I went over budget,
say I went over budget 10 grand, then they would only transfer the 40,000 instead of the full 50 because I was over budget. And then they would, because I know usually in December, we've always petitioned the council to transfer like the fire department money to excess. That's in the fire department, the pool, man, this is probably, this that really is on. So they increased the pool one from 15 to 35, in essence, trying to build up the fund balance. So that way there, because the pool returns are going to be astronomical at some point, build the city.
Yeah. So if you're talking about putting some of that money in the capital fund for larger purchases, that's one thing. I'm gonna go back to the example that you just said was $50,000 and you went over your budget 10 grand. This is just my personal opinion, and council can tell me what they think, but how I've always managed that is if you are managing your budget and you have something that kind of stuck up on you that costs you additional $10,000 and you're off your budget, then we have to make it up somewhere else within your budget. Not budget up. I hate to say this term because government work you don't ever want to be talking about, but you don't want to build yourself a little nest egg in there just because, right? That's what your overall fund balance is for. Let's just say you managed all your line items in there and you were over 10 grand because you had to purchase something. Then you and your administrator will have a conversation saying, hey, looks like I'm going to be about a 10 grand short. And I really need this. We decide, yeah, you really do need that. We need to be able to get that piece of equipment repaired or whatever. And then we have the ability to go into the real fund balance, not the capital, but the real fund balance that should be at 40%, right? And we could take funds out of there as a last resort. But the first thing I will ask the department head is, where can you make it up in your budget? You might have an opportunity in fuel costs, maybe you budgeted $10,000 for fuel. I mean, and across the different line items, you might be able to make that 10 grand up. Because at the beginning of the year, you're given a certain amount of dollars, and as a leader, you're expected to manage your business within those dollars. Now, we all know things happen, but then we should be having a conversation. We shouldn't just every year
So
be
that
throwing
should be coming out of that
45,000.
other fund. It's like, you still gotta give that 50 grand. Too bad, so sad. Or you still gotta give it for the most part. But if we really need it, we're gonna get that from somewhere else. Instead of you not giving them 50 grand.
We'll try. We
Right.
want to get away from every year, and I'm going to use you as an example. Every year, we're budgeting $45,000 in his budget, just in case he needs it. And then to transfer it out for whatever he needs it for. And he's had this conversation with me, and he just shared it again here at this meeting, is that if he went over, if we funded $45,000 and his budget was over $5,000, then he would only be able to transfer $40,000. That is, my eyes, an undefined fund that's really there to take care of overtures. And the money that's going into that is nothing.
I may have this wrong, but that was always my interpretation. Previous administration and stuff. So I always thought that that transfer never happened. I may have a big stuff too.
No, I think we're tracking. There's gonna be some changes that I think are gonna be better for all of us. It'll be more transparent, be easier to track, and everybody will know what's in it. Right now, you have Jesse and I who've been working on this for almost 3 weeks, and we still don't have a good grasp of what's in that 202 fund. And that shouldn't be the case.
That's what I want that to know.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna put, don't get me stop, but I'm like, what do you have in that? You might literally, it's not. Or I think if it's in one area, you can look and go, yep, okay, this is the bad, I've got this.
Our former mayor pushed me into spending my entire surplus this last year.
You see you get your revenues, you need to put your expense sheet. You don't get the 202 sheet. That's a whole other form that's hidden.
And I've also heard you guys may have not in the past even seen the revenues.
Yeah.
So all you're doing is managing your expenses and you don't know what's coming in this one, right? So
Yeah.
we're really working hard to try to clean this up and make it better for everybody. Randy, I have no idea if that even came close to answering your question. You started. Did it? Okay.
From Wayne's department.
Yeah.
Mine is, but I just wondered if that's something different that's gonna happen.
Yeah, well, with yours being majority enterprise funds,
Yeah.
it's money in, money out, and it needs a match, right? Yeah, yeah, a little different in your case.
Can I step in for 1 second?
Oh, please.
So for the enterprise funds, those should operate like a business. So in government accounting, you have the general fund with all the departments. And that's where the levies go into play, property taxes, all of that. And then your enterprise funds are completely separate, and those need to operate as a business. Ideally, you'd like to see revenues exceed expenditures because then you can save for those capital projects. You know, if you got to paint the water tower, all those other projects. Ideally, you'd like to have expenses less than revenues to start saving. So think about them as enterprises, businesses, and then the general fund as, you know, that's where your levy's coming from. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you
Okay.
for doing that. Yeah,
Yep.
that's good.
Yep.
Milty?
Okay, so as I look at mine, for the majority, there's nothing earth shattering that I've got going on other than the elephant in the room. My capital outlay is marked at 200,000. That is,
What department are you?
the liquor
Look at
store.
our-
Okay, sorry, that's where I need to go. 609.
Yep.
Throw that out.
Well, I previously had money in there operating as an enterprise fund. I was kind of pushed into spending all of it here about a year ago. But that is to hopefully expand our liquor store. But in here tonight, I'm just kind of, I didn't realize the levy was so high, and as I'm looking to cut costs, I brought this up before, and this is an opportunity I see to bring it up again. I'm not pushing it, but I think that building could be remodeled into something for less than that. And I know there are 13 cities in Minnesota applying for municipal dispensary right now. That may be an option for the city to make more revenue than we're gonna make off of putting $200,000 into it to sell liquor. And I'm just gonna put that thought in the council member's head before September comes.
Milty, are you saying that if we didn't do the off sale, that
I'm
that would
thinking
reduce the capital outlay?
because I wouldn't need to put the coolers in, I wouldn't need to do as much if we were making like, say, if you were just remodeling the building to do a municipal dispensary,
Okay.
it would probably cost, I think my estimate from L&M to get the building in shape was 94,000, and I think some of those corners could be cut then also. So that would, I mean, I've been looking forward to having the room in my liquor store and expanding it, but that's one thing that maybe, you know, you talk to the beer and the liquor reps, and the amount of people consuming alcohol are dropping, and the amount of people in the recreational cannabis are climbing.
So
So
that square footage in that Napa building be,
it would be more than
I
sufficient,
was gonna say, it seemed like it would be,
way
Plenty of room, right?
way larger than what we would actually need. To where at some point down the road, it could be revisited into doing something else, but a dispensary needs a separate entrance to where at this point it would need to be the entire building.
Yeah, is there any way I don't know, but maybe we could expand some of the liquor?
Yes, that
So-
could be done
so
with,
Then have just a little room for the.
yes, that
dispensary.
could all be done.
Yeah,
um,
and kind of keep it so you're still connected to the liquor for the liquor.
You would have to come into the liquor area again, and then it could be punched out where the wine is. I know I do. Yep, I know I do.
I mean, it's the moneymaker. I mean, it's just
Yep.
the truth. And so we have to, it's the moneymaker,
Yep.
unfortunately.
And,
Yeah. Okay.
but,
THC products.
the other thing, when we had our former administrator, every year I would transfer $20,000 into the capital outlay. I don't have my glasses on, but be the 609 ending in
This
50.
one?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me
I
to
would
add that in?
I would always transfer $20,000 in. I think after Mark left, the finance person in charge at the time said, well, you should keep that money and use it for things you need. So that transfer quit happening. But that is money that, like I say, I budget for things like the Napa store where I don't necessarily need that 20,000. That 20,000 could go into the capital outlay. Like I say, I think I did about $100,000 in 24, which I had the money in my fund for from, just previous years of the surplus on that 20,000. So I think that 20,000 could definitely be started to transfer back into the capital
Okay,
fund.
I will certainly add it.
Right now, I'm looking at the capital fund for 2024, and I don't even see a line item here for you that anybody.
Nope, because it ceased when,
Okay.
when Mark left,
Okay.
that just kind of ceased. But that
Well,
is
it
started again.
looks like it was budgeted for 2024, but not done, and
Correct,
not budgeted for 2025. So I
correct.
will add it in for 2026 then.
Yep. So I think
Okay.
that was our person in the office at the time decided that I should keep that money, but I think, everything as it is, that money should probably go into the general fund.
Okay.
That'd be great. That's a good place.
And like I say, the dispensary thing, that was just kind of shooting from the hip. When I got here, I got blindsided by that 27% or 27% levy. That's one thing where I looked at possibly saving some spending and generating more income.
So you're
And-
looking at potentially cutting that 200 in half, and maybe.
Well, if we go forward with a dispensary instead of a liquor store, if we do the full liquor store, it would probably need to be that 200.
I think we need to do both. I think we need to do both somehow. because
Which it could be done if that Napa building is split.
I think if we could split that, that would be great.
Like-
We need, that's when we're the money.
Yep. So
And
that
that 200,000 will not affect the levy at all because that is your enterprise
is my
fund.
enterprise fund.
Yep, that is your enterprise fund, so that will
just
not
looking
affect
at
the levy at all.
it. Overall, not spending money right now if we don't need to.
Yep. And so in your case, that'll remain in your fund to use for future,
Okay.
That will remain in your fund
And you
as
know how to
your,
Yep.
Sell, right?
Yep. And then one more thing that I just kind of came up with on the fly too is, like you were talking about maybe needing part-time guys to help out the other departments. I'm a salaried employee. I can give an afternoon here and there if they get behind on mowing grass or anything like that. I can operate a lawnmower or skid loader, whatever need be. And I can have someone else man the liquor store for a few hours at probably a lesser rate than they're gonna hire a part-time person. I am willing to cross-train in the other departments and help out where need be. I am a salaried employee, so it isn't gonna cost anything extra.
That's first class, Milty.
Well.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Milty.
I just don't need to see, 27% levy increase either.
No, we're not doing that. We're just not gonna do it. Not gonna.
Jesse, anything for Milty or his liquor store budget or anything like that, or?
nope, as long as you two have reviewed the revenues and expenses, I think we're good. And then I will put that 20,000 back in that
Wonderful.
725 line item.
I'm making money on this whole meeting.
Thank you, Milty.
You.
I'm gonna sneak out then if I don't.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Did you need to speak to the council at all, Randy, or are you just, you're good? Okay. Jeff, you're up. You're in front of the computer next. Now we're going to the police department, Jesse.
Okay, I will get back up to that line item.
See them, you'll understand, but I thought I'd give you that.
Here for my eyes. Some things that we were looking, I was, 2024, I'm not gonna get into that tonight because I'm still trying to work that out, what happened there, but, as far as 2025, you'll see that the salary budget is going down. That's because we lost a guy that had quite a few years of experience, and now we're going with a new officer. So you're gonna see the drop there, for the regular. One thing I did reach out to the county sheriff's office, and we had discussions on, we need to come up with a better agreement on covering calls. And maybe we can, if I can cut costs on call and just have them come to town. We don't have a lot of call outs. Obviously, Councilmember Scholander knows what we're talking about here, but my guys are on call quite a bit. And it's hard on them physically and mentally being on call, but if we can have the sheriff's office come into town and just say, hey, these are calls I can pen till the morning till I come on, we can cut some costs on the on-call, time. The chief deputy and I, we spoke that maybe we need to sit down with the city administrator and kind of talk about what type of agreement is that going to be, how, that relationship. Obviously, I know the city wants us to patrol. Right now, just to reiterate, we cover 19 hours out of the day because that was a recent change that I did. I decided to give the city more coverage. And so that's going to cover some costs. Obviously, with increases with salaries, budgets are going to go up with overtime. But again, if it comes down to this, if we, even covering shifts where I can't cover shift, if the county's willing to at least come to handle the emergencies, but then pend any non-emergency calls to the next car that comes on, maybe we can save some on overtime. So a lot of it is staffing, my big expenses. And there's, just looking at some of the, and previously there's some things like 2024, that was a different, 2025, I sat down with our financial director and said, we need to do a better job of planning for 2025. And if you look at the numbers, that I'm seeing, I tried to ask the other day where our up-to-date numbers are. They didn't have them that day, but I see that this is the current as the August 21st. Is that on the sheet?
These are 6:30 numbers.
Okay, I saw 821 on one of my sheets that I was looking at sitting down. Okay.
That's the day I printed it.
Okay, printed. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so six.
Yep. So what we do is I update the actuals quarterly.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah, just so that I'm not having to change it for every single meeting because that's a lot of numbers to change.
Okay, so is it fair to say that we're at least halfway through the year on our numbers?
Yes. Yep, because all expenses should be paid. Revenues, we need to get caught up on revenue side of things, so revenues are probably skewed a little bit.
Okay. There's some things at the beginning of the year that, one of our expenses, we had hail damage that jumped up my budget in 2025 because of hail damage. We did obviously get that. The insurance took care of that. But as far as some of the cut costs, there's a few things that, if we need to trim some more off, we certainly can. But my biggest thing is how do we tackle the wages? Because unfortunately in 2020, we got thrown under the bus, and salaries started increasing immensely with law enforcement. So, is there any other questions regarding some of that stuff? There's, Scott and I were talking.
Are you thinking, Jeff, that the amount of money that we have budgeted for salaries, overtime, and part-time?
We could drop it if you need to,
Yeah.
and then have the sheriff's office.
Right, but when you made the comment about 2020 salaries weren't, what did you mean by that then?
Well, back then, I mean, Chief or Mr. Rolano can contest this. Our salaries are really different. We've had a dramatic increase across the board in law enforcement.
Yeah.
So that's why our numbers are increasing so greatly with salaries for law enforcement.
That's what you were trying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought you meant
Currently for on-call, sorry.
Nope.
Currently on call, we have about 14,000 budgeted for on-call.
Yep. And so that's, obviously my guys were a little upset about losing some of that when we expanded the coverage in the city, but again, I just want to give that money back to the city and try to get more coverage for the city. So that's something that we can talk about is, do we eliminate on call and just?
No.
Okay.
And here's my thing. When I came here, everyone was so excited to see our guys, our girls, our badges, our patches. I can tell you that in contract with the county, it's going to cost quite a bit.
And it's not a contract, just so you know, like I would never do a contract type thing, just to take emergency calls. Like if we're like Dakota County, or excuse me, Dodge County, they come in for West Concord if there's an emergency, and they pen calls for the chief for when he comes on duty. So they'll like, nope, we're not taking the call. That can pen till the morning till, so it wouldn't be I wouldn't ask for a contract with them at all. It just more because they understand that this city pays taxes as well. So they're trying to build a relationship because be honest, I mean, obviously you saw the numbers, is at some point, are we gonna, increase the budget where PD's out the window, and so it's like, we need to work, because they don't want to bring on any other cities, because they already got Goodhue and Kenyon, or Goodhue and Wanamingo. They don't want to bring on Kenyon, so they're willing to work with me to try to figure out like how can we get them to, because they're not, I don't want to throw them under the bus either, but late in the evening, we're not that busy as well. But if there's a call comes out emergency, 4 o'clock in the morning, well, our guys are coming out and taking a 2-hour overtime for a small call, or they can come to town and they can handle it within 15 minutes. And it's $5 an hour still. I don't really want to talk about hours.
No, I'm not asking you to tell me from whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm an officer, I'm done with my shift, I'm on call.
Yep.
I get paid an hourly rate to be on call.
Yep.
And if I'm called out, it's a minimum of 2 hours at your current rate of pay, correct?
Overtime.
Overtime.
I believe it's overtime, 2 hours overtime.
It was, unless something changed, again, it's been almost 5 years. It was 2 hours at your current rate of pay. And then, of course, let's say this call only took a half an hour, well, you got paid for 2. If this call was 4, then you have to pay for.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I can't answer that. I did not know that, because that's, it's kind of that thing of being on call where you can't do anything. If you get called out, it's because these guys can't go to Rochester. They can't go to cities. They can't.
That's part of the gig.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And I'm trying not to sound like everybody, but that's part of the gig.
Sure.
It's no different than if you were an investigator for the sheriff's office or you're on the SWAT team, right? You can only go a certain area at certain times because you can get called out.
and I believe I'm just going back to I believe when I was at the sheriff's office, we got called out. I think it was overtime as well. We got called out. But
Yeah, so you guys you call it second.
that's another call out.
Another automatic.
Yeah. Yep. And I don't have the numbers in front of me. We don't get called out a lot. Because moving the hours also definitely helped. That, we don't get called out at 1 o'clock when our guys got done at midnight, because now they're still working. So it's definitely the hours. I tried to narrow the hours we're not getting called out on.
Yeah, as you look through the PD's budget here, you'll see some things are going up, some things are going down. This is one of the areas where Jesse and I tried to level set some of the numbers and all that kind of stuff. Some of them stay consistent across. Yes, we did, when I did talk to Jeff, we did talk about the salaries and that. But some of the stuff was out of his control also when it comes to the insurances and HSAs and workers' comp and all that kind of stuff. You see there's some fairly significant numbers tied to some of that kind of stuff, but that's standard stuff that Jesse and I had to have in that. We want to take a look at. I'll just look at one at 150, right? We budgeted $12,000 for workers' comp. And after looking at the numbers, there will be and so, is there anywhere in here when you looked at this budget, Chief, that you could say, well, we could adjust this number, we could adjust that number, like some others have, or have you not had a chance to do that yet? Still want to do it?
Still, this is part of my frustrations, like when I'm at, because I'm like, a lot of these expenses I'm not seeing, I'm not signing, like I don't see, it goes right to the office and city take care of it. So that's where, like, contract services, I know a few contract services that we have. But if Jesse feels that 15,000 is where we need to be, I'm gonna trust. Unfortunately, I had trust in the past on direction, and it's led. No, that's legal fees. Yeah, legal stuff. So contract services that like Loeffler, contract through the county for our licenses was exactly. Yep. So obviously I'm going off what the county is paid, or you don't get support, type thing. So the tires, I think we're doing pretty good for the tires this year.
Steve, on the spot. Is that the kind of thing that you say, okay, well, we can skip the tire this year, or, and I'm assuming you're doing this, when you get tires, you get them on their rub on, because they do state bid price.
Yep, yeah, it's all state bid. Yep,
All that stuff is kind of locked in, so you
Yep.
could
Yep.
say, hey, I checked the price on tires, if I need tires, it's actually going to be.
yes,
That's the kind of stuff
Yep.
I'm looking at.
sure. Yeah,
Those things
and
that you can maybe say, and I'm not asking you to make any.
Like percent of maintenance.
Is this the kind of thing that you could do a little bit of research on? Say, look, these cars are old, they're okay,
Yep.
but then that way it's going somewhere else.
yeah, and our trucks, monitoring, I have up on my board, the warranties on our vehicles. Our warranty for bumper to bumper is 36,000 miles, and our drivetrain is 60,000. So this year, we're probably gonna reach that on a couple squads, so I wanna send them in for 72-point inspection, just to make sure that if we can get anything under the warranty, before it expires, I wanna do that. Obviously, the maintenance went up this year. We talked about that because there's some warranties that are expiring. There's some issues that might pop up. I'm hoping with a different platform, trucks versus SUVs, because SUVs have been hit law enforcement agencies hard. That's why I was hoping a truck platform would definitely last longer, and obviously the resale is much higher than an SUV. But there's some things that we definitely could probably cut. Maintenance,
Uniforms,
I'm sorry, what?
uniforms,
It went up a little bit. There is, our uniform, well, I can fill you in on this. So we requested donations for Class A uniforms, so that ended up being close to $2,000. Unfortunately, the group that we asked, they're still considering it right now, it being in their state that they're in. So that might be a cost that I either have to eat, or I'm hoping that eventually I might have to go get that donation from somewhere else.
what do you need for the vest reimbursement?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
And hire a new officer and they get their vest,
So-
$1,400 now for a vest. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
talking just about the pocket.
The carriers are not, it's the plates that are heavy, that are expensive. So when I brought on Armani, that was one of the considerations, because I bought, he's bringing his vest from when he was over at reserve. So I didn't have to pay for that when I brought him in. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So those are reimbursements that I got to put in for. Obviously, the post board training I put in for. So I think
To be honest, all of this, it's wishful thinking in a way, because God forbid we get a huge situation in town.
Yep.
Your budget could go up, Randy's different, but we have a huge natural disaster, we need all of that. I know that this could fluctuate. And I'm
Yeah.
not going to speak here.
Yeah. Yeah.
That we can do something.
Yeah.
So,
And, obviously with one of our officers leaving and filling in until I could backfill, it made a little difference, but we dropped a full-time salary in that meantime too, that 5-year salary. And so this year I was able to, we talked about the firearms and stuff, and that could be cut. The reason for that is we had a local gentleman that was selling some ammo at a ridiculously cheap price, and I took advantage of that this year too. So I'm good for ammo. Obviously, handgun ammo we're taking care of for quite a while. But rifle ammo, we're good. So if we need to, the reason why we left that in there for firearms and ammo, again, it's only 1,500, but I was looking at possibly doing red dots to help my guys shoot better. But that's obviously there's liability there, so I would love them to shoot better, but that's a cost that we could probably save, and they just need to get out and shoot more.
right now today, you can't think of anything.
Like I said, we could take care of drop the firearms. We can, Jesse, what are you seeing some things that, like, for the contract services? Is that a prediction that next year it's going to get up that high to 15,000?
What I did is I kind of looked at this and then last year, and I estimated that stuff's going to be up. We can drop that to 10 if you want, or we can do a little research, see what goes into there, and then drop it as needed.
$8,000 so far halfway through the year.
Yeah, and I'd like to sit down and find out what's all being put
Yeah,
on.
so I can dig into that GL too and let you know what it is, what's in there.
What's been spent already, and we take a best educated guess. When I see $8,000 spent in contract services on a budget of $9,400, I'm just expecting you're gonna be over that with another half of the year, right? So then we try to take an educated guess. Okay, we project if they were here, now have kind of a guess, but we can go into each one of these line items, as Jesse just said, and kind of see what's been being put in there and what's being charged to that GL.
Some of the contract stuff is like startup costs that law officers, I believe we started that year, or county new initiation, like the startup cost, I think. So, and eventually it levels out. But yeah, so that's something.
I can dig into that GL and see what goes in there.
No. I try to get all that covered through donations for the first 5 years. So after the 5 years, I think we have 2 more years that we have donations coming in.
Will that be a contract service?
That's going to be eventually, yeah, yep. And at the end of, I believe it's this year or next year, we get new body cameras because that was part of the initial package. Is after 3 years, they send you new body cameras, and then but the contract services stops at that time, but you still get new equipment at the end of it. So yes, we will have to bring on that.
For any follow-up.
Are you talking about like
Oh, I see. I gotcha. The loads.
Officer wants to talk to somebody about something.
Sure. So yeah, the group that we use is Lodestar. And excuse me. No, I know. That's my deal.
You would think that the medical.
Some of the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they would say, hey, let's set up a second, I assume that is something that you set up under your insurance. So to answer your question, you've got a prescription, which is highly needed.
Right.
At the same time, if you do something extra, I think then that would be covered.
Yeah.
Is that your understanding?
Yeah. And I don't, when we signed the contract, because again, that's falls under the contract services. That was started in 2023, so I imagine that's part of the 10,000 that higher at that time. In that contract, it was up to 6 sessions per officer if they needed it. Then we also have I just met with a chaplain service that the contract or what the county uses. But that's a free service because the county contracts with them. So obviously it includes everybody within the county. So yeah, there are those services, but again, I think they would fall under, if it doesn't, insurance doesn't cover it, I imagine it's a contract service. Yeah, and Minfire has great service requirement, better than law enforcement. Excuse me, sorry. The maintenance, again, it could be high, but why we got hit so hard again was hail damage this year. But I haven't, knock on wood. Yeah, yep. So I believe if Jesse, if the insurance revenue, is that part of the revenue, the insurance check?
Yes, yep, so the revenue, so how we do that is as long as the revenue is going into the general fund, the expense needs to come out of the general fund as well, in your department. Now, if the car is totaled, that revenue should go into the capital equipment fund because you're buying a new squad car. And that would come out of the capital equipment. So
Sure.
as long as that revenue went into the general fund, if your expense line is over, that's easily explained to the auditors why that went over.
Some of the other things that, assume you guys are heard about was that the AC unit went out and a new furnace was put in as well into the PD last year. So a lot of my big expenses came at the end of September last year. And that's some of the questions is where that, how that was paid for previously. My understanding at that time that was all there was funds for all that stuff. And there was one issue with the squad. We got a new squad in 24. Problem is we got the money from the state to pay for the squad in 2023, late 2023. I don't know how that was because it looks like I got hit big time on overages. I think like 70,000 or something like that. 50 of that was from that pickup.
But then we look at the revenue side and see if it came in on the backside.
Did you look at that, Jesse? Did you? Sue and I just briefly talked the other day about it.
That was-
I have not. We can look at it when I'm on site that day if you want.
But I definitely can look at this more and just trim off some more. But again, I wanted to have that conversation with Scott and see what do we need to have conversations with outside agencies or just there's a reason why I only wanted blue at Rose Fest and not brown. So I understand that. And so
Well, we can do, whatever we do, that's all we can do is trim as much as we can.
Yeah.
We can go through it and
and like this year, without even looking at the numbers this year, once some of the changes I did for Rose Fest is I only had 3 officers on a Friday night, 4 for Saturday. I've had all 5 on both nights. So I was trying to see how we could get by this year, money wise and coverage wise. Went well this year. So, but I've had those conversations with my guys.
all right, anything else? Thank you.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you.
any last chance? You good? Okay,
He's just taking it all in.
so Michelle wasn't here or had to leave, I mean, but if you just look at her library deal, there should be no real questions there for you. No, we're good, chief. Thank you for being here. There wasn't a whole lot. The only thing we tried to do is we just compensated for a little bit more with for her part-time. We're just looking at the step increases, right? Taking care of her part-time employees and then herself in there. But everything was pretty good across the board. She's very cognizant. She's very understanding of her budget. She's she watches every penny. There wasn't anything that came out of my discussion with Michelle when we looked at the library that I was concerned with. If you guys have let me know when you see her budget move from 191.5 to 209. The lion's share of that is just raises for the
She's pretty conservative
Yeah.
with the money.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
she's good.
Great programs and
Yeah,
we do
great programs and lots of hard work involved. So do we wanna talk about like what we want the levy to be? I mean, I know that.
You can throw those numbers out and Jesse and I can work towards those. I mean, there's been some
Yep.
adjustments obviously tonight, right? One thing we didn't talk about is what your appetite is for the $198,000 for the capital fund. Do you want us to take half of that? Do you want us to take them all? Do you want us not to touch it at all? Let's see what these.
I think you gotta take some of it. Because it's just like, say I have a savings account, but I'm drowning, and you can't pay the mortgage because, well, you gotta take it out of your savings account with mortgage. I mean, right? It's the way it is. I mean, you gotta keep
So-
some.
How much about the annual, Jesse, you could answer this. Let's say I throw out, can we get the levy to 10%? Just as throw a number out there. How long would it take you guys to try to crunch something out to see this, what it would take? not saying we'll do it, it's not even feasible, but is that something that would be a ton of work, or would that be something that you guys could do fairly quickly?
I don't.
So-
I think we have to do it somehow. You have to be.
Would that be like moving a mountain worth of work? Is that something, and I don't mean the numbers right now, of course, I'm just saying that's something that you think is a feasible, like, request to ask.
If I'm just playing with numbers here. If I take off, and again, this is all estimated, this is just me working with my spreadsheet. If I take off $225,000 off of the general fund budget or whatever, wherever, it brings me to 10.99.
Is that what the 198 still in there? So we still.
That is with the 198 still in there. Yes. So could we make all these changes and then get the levy down to 10 if you guys wanted to? So then cut the rest in capital?
If I would love to go below 10. 10 is very high still.
Yeah, I would love below 10, but I'm also trying to be realistic here too. I get it. And I know
Okay.
things are going down. I get it.
Yep. We just want to know where you guys are feel comfortable setting the prelim levy. And then from September to December, we can still work that down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you can get it to 10 right now, I mean, I'd say 8. That's what we did last year, and that was horrible last year. It was horrible to go to 8. I don't know. I think I grew up poor. I think you can cut the budget. Cut it.
Very much been looking at different numbers than I am, because when I looked at last year's levy, it was like 9.6.
Was it
It
9.6?
was
Yeah.
like just a hair under 10.
Oh, yes. Was it 10? Did we go 9 point something?
Yeah.
What? Maybe I was.
I think just
before
for
that.
visual, we tried to get it a hair under 10, just to.
Yeah.
Maybe my hope
I
was-
say let's, can you try to look at 10, and if that works, fine, and if we really need to move mountains, we can look at other stuff, but I would like to see us shoot for that 10 mark. That's my opinion, I'm only one.
Okay.
And Jesse, I'm assuming that's the 2 part-time employees taken out of there. You left the part-time employee, the seasonal employees I'm talking about. Did you take that 48 out of there then? Is that part of?
I have not made any changes to the numbers just because I want to do this all at once. You know,
All right.
change all the numbers, but without any changes, if I took $225,000 off of it, which would include the $95,000 from the streets and all of the fire changes, all of the changes, and then that brought us to like 10.99. So then what we could do is make all of the changes that were made and then cut the rest in capital to get to the 10%. And then we could bring it back to you guys on September, what day are we setting the prelim levy? Give me 1 second.
Our next council meeting tonight.
And will there be like a couple options? Maybe like, hey, if we put all of, I mean, I don't think we should put all the capital in there because you gotta have some sort of cushion. But I mean, you gotta get that. It's already, last time it went up, it was already awful. I mean, yeah, maybe it was 9.6 or what. It's too much. That's too much.
Yeah.
We're too little, and people don't need that. That's a lot of money. And we already raised their taxes or whatever last time. And that didn't, I mean, that was a lot. And you just don't want to you can't just say, well, every year you're going to pay $100 more, $100 more. Well, that just gets crazy town. You can't have that.
Let's try to shoot for that 10 mark, see where we end up. If you could, please, that's again, my input.
I agree.
Is that-
I'm willing to do mayor for free. I'm not in it for retirement.
Yeah, right. When I got city council, I didn't even know I got it.
I mean, that's money we can save right there.
Okay. Jesse and I'll get together. We'll work these numbers down to 10 or as close as we can. If I get it to
Yep.
10, don't shoot your administrator, but I'll do everything I can.
Yep, and then once we set it, we'll bring around 10% to you guys on the 9th. So then we can set the prelim levy. And then in October, the rest of September, October, and November, we can work it to where you guys want it. Is that fair?
Thank you. Thank you for all your work.
Yes, not a problem.
Thank you.
Just stop the focus of this, but when Melody brought up you know, that he's willing to ride a lawnmower or do whatever on that.
Yeah.
I don't know where it got in the transaction, but KMU employees have always worked with the public works thing. We help snowplow, we do whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And there's always that willing, you know, our top priority is electric and water, but we're always willing to.
Help out. Thank you, Randy. That's so nice.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Yeah.
So we had enough fun for one night?
Oh, that was a lot of money. That makes me wonder. Well, I'm glad that's not my house.
I told you when we started at 27, we were gonna work it down, but you guys look like you're getting the bill stuff out.
Been a really hard couple of weeks.
Yeah. I just,
So-
it's just one of those things where I'm like, it's these people, and I'm glad, I think when we change that around, we put all the money in one thing where we can see it better, that's gonna be helpful too, because then you got all these little bits of money laying around. It's like you have a change jar over here that, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? You should dump it in and
Yeah.
I don't know, I mean.
And that's what you guys pay me to do is manage that, right? And if we can have like one fund and you guys have the ability to decide how much goes into that fund, and then we just manage it accordingly.
We can cut,
It's not a- it's not a big thing.
yeah, we can cut we can cut corners. I mean, if you can't buy meat, you kill a rabbit. I mean, you gotta do something. You can't, I don't.
I have one comment on that. Mr. Mayor, are you done? Oh, I'm sorry. Are you guys?
Yeah, okay, are we adjourning? Hey, do you wanna make a?
You're on
motion?
mute there, Don, I think.
I'm still here.
He was on mute there for a second.
Did you have
Yeah, I
anything or
was.
can we adjourn?
All those in favor?
No,
of
I didn't
adjourn-
have nothing.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I.
I never get to.
Meeting's
No.
adjourned.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Yep,
Thank
thanks,
you all.
Kathy. I'll be in touch
Yep.
with you.
Bye, everyone.
Your time.
Yep. We'll talk to you probably tomorrow, Scott.
Sounds good.
All right, bye.
Bye.